worry about it.
Okay, Mr. President, I do have the meeting.
All right, we're
Yeah.
up and rolling.
So
Call to
yeah,
order.
I want to hit that light in the other room.
That's LEDs.
The round ones, though.
Kind of missed it.
It's giving you a halo, not that we don't want you to have a
I mean,
halo.
it fits, you know.
One person's halo is another person's ornament. Depends on how you look at
You
it.
looked very divine. didn't you?
Yeah,
And right.
one way or another, you stood up or fell down, either one's got a halo, so don't be seen. Having said that, so. Blue man in the
Yes,
room.
thank you.
Let's jump into this at 7:04, call to order, hit a roll call, we can,
Yeah, so in the room, we have Deb Cassini-Klein,
Here,
Robert Burchett Williams,
here,
and we have Andrea.
here.
Matt Castilia.
Present.
A couple members aren't able to be with us tonight, Diane Law and Valerie Lynn Taylor. Of course, you're here and the mayor is here as well.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's jump straight into public comments. I'm gonna pull up mine, so you don't have my screen up yet, but I'll jump it up in a second. There's nobody in the room, so I ask you, Mr. Manager, is there anybody online looking for public comments?
Yeah, Kathy Border would like to speak this evening, so I've promoted her to panelist.
Standing, Ms. Borner, I stated your name, so you really don't have to restate it, but if you can state your address and you have 3 minutes to make any comments you'd like there, as soon as you are able to speak.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Okay. My name is Kathy Bordner and I'm 1926 Hampstead Drive. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about the ordinance that you have publicized for public hearing, where you are revising some of the ordinances. First, I want to say that I'm happy to see this. I got to watch the Planning Commission meeting, and I think that this is a really good positive step. But I've talked to a few people, and a couple of questions have come up that we wanted to ask. Number one, is the borough required to allow for every legal use within Churchill? If a use is allowed in one of the 3 municipalities, Churchill, Monroeville, and Wilkins, that are part of the implementable comprehensive plan, does that meet the requirement to allow for that use? Or must each of the 3 municipalities allow for every legal use within their individual boundaries? And if it's okay, I'll go ahead and ask my second question.
Sure.
Number 2, and Gavin spoke about this at the Planning Commission meeting, and I think I understand it correctly, but I just wanted to make absolutely certain and get this straight in my head. Now that this proposed ordinance change has been provided to the public and advertised for public hearing, if there are not any substantive changes to it, does that mean that if a developer applies for a permit to develop a project in the C1 district tomorrow, he would be expected to comply with this ordinance if it is passed? And I just wanted to get clarification that I understood that correctly. And that is, those are the 2 questions that we have. And again, I appreciate you guys getting this ordinance to this point and look forward to seeing the public hearing on it.
So thank you, Kathy, for your questions. I'm going to defer to the solicitor a little bit on this and let him kind of lead on it. And then if there's any follow-up, I'll have it. But I think generally your questions are technical to our solicitor, so I'll allow him to answer at this time.
Yeah, so thanks, Ms. Bordner. You did hear correctly about the pending ordinance doctrine. It's a little more complicated. I can't make a blanket statement. It may depend. I hate to do the lawyer thing and say it depends on what sort of development would come through. But there are some nuances to that, but the pending ordinance doctrine would be in place now based on the advertisement of the draft in the announcement that council has decided to consider that draft after a public hearing. So the answer is most likely yes, but I can't give an unequivocal, that is absolutely correct because there's, again, some nuances to it. With respect to the first question, working in reverse order, I think you're thinking about a situation where there'd be a multi-municipal zoning ordinance. In those situations, and that they do exist out there, that is one way that some municipalities sort of get together and are able to, I don't want to say get around, but address certain types of land uses that are maybe not appropriate for a particular municipality due to its size, topography, whatever the circumstances might be. But just the mere fact that there's a multi-municipal comprehensive plan, I would say, again, I'm not given public legal opinions, I'm just talking in generalities, would say that the borough would still be required to provide for all lawful uses within its borders.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate you providing her and us an answer to the question. Alex, is there anyone else? I'm just coming into the space now, by the way. Is there anybody else who is online for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Right. I'm going to assume you said no because of the criteria.
Correct. There's no one who has their hand raised.
Thank you. I try to always give 10 extra seconds just to make sure that in case anybody does, and this will give me an extra second to get myself logged in and get my my own closed caption on so I can actually hear what the heck's going on here and we take from that. Okay. Not hearing any additional questions coming forward. We're going to move forward in the agenda, acknowledging receipt of any reports. I don't know if anybody had any questions on any reports that have come in thus far. Float that out there for folks.
No question on the reports, but I did review the meeting minutes and the extension to the recommendation for the zoning ordinance to be sent to the zoning board is not reported by abstention. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay,
Yeah, and if you get a chance to fill out the extension form, I appreciate it as well.
sure.
So for clarity, you'll fill out the form, we'll make sure it gets reported, and that will take
And
care of
we'll fix the
extension.
minutes to make sure that they reflect her request to send the extension
Right.
to the planning commission, correct?
Correct.
Outstanding. So that way we'll have everything in order. And that will work out well. Got some folks that we are looking at in need of for positions, it looks like. So a couple of the resolutions on the table. I don't know if there's much discussion that was required here.
Likely in our fall newsletter, we ought to address these opportunities. There seems to be a lot of interest in this community for zoning, but no one has really put their resume or letter of interest out to be appointed to the zoning hearing board. And we're wanting to fill the positions on the Churchill Area Environmental Council, which is Forest Hills, Chalfont, Wilkins, and Churchill Borough. We have a couple positions. And so probably in the newsletter, we'll give people an idea of what that might entail if they want to volunteer to serve.
Yes, as it turns out, Churchill, we do have a lot of people who are interested in helping. We also have people who are really good at kind of commenting and really don't have the time that's required to fully
It's a
volunteer.
big commitment.
And so I appreciate both parts, even those who have the time to make comments but don't have the time necessarily to volunteer. You know, we appreciate that as well. But certainly, if you can find the time to volunteer, it would be really helpful, I think, to the borough. Having said that, unless there's any further discussion on that matter, it doesn't seem like there is. We can move forward. Anything on the intergovernmental with regard to lateral?
I think we are working, the Wilkins Township Solicitor and Manager are working on their end. Alex, do you know when they're scheduled to vote on that resolution?
Next week on August 14th, same night we meet, we'll be looking to vote
Okay, so I think we just have a little bit of fine tuning that's left. There's a draft, a current updated draft in your packets right now. And again, the reason there's gonna be a resolution is because all intergovernmental cooperation agreements are either approved by resolution or ordinance. This is one that can be approved by resolution, so we can save a couple advertising dollars by doing it that way. And what we're doing is, establishing a process by which folks who are getting their sewer CCTV certified and reviewed, that's done through a Wilkins Township employee who actually has the necessary certifications to review and provide feedback on those videos. So I think it sounds like we're just last couple final details. We have an automatic renewal provision that was suggested. It's going to be set up, at least the way currently drafted, that either party could cancel on 30 days notice. So the automatic renewal is more of just let's not have to go back and continue to pass resolutions each time how we want to amend this. So, but it's not going to be binding on future councils. It's always going to be able to be, canceled on very short notice. Hopefully we will need to do that, but otherwise it's just kind of standard stuff that you would expect.
Questions, concerns?
Question, who determined the automatic renewal clause?
No one's determined anything yet until you vote on it, but it was suggested, I believe, by Wilkins Township as just, again, something so we don't have to keep revisiting this.
Yeah.
So it's right now, if you see in the draft, it's sort of there, just highlighted, like automatic renewal, like question mark or whatever. So I think unless council has a strong feeling to not do that, I would suggest that we do it again because there's really no downside because it's so easily terminated.
Yeah, so simplification is sometimes the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know also too, though, with automatic renewal, you may lapse on the timeline because it is every 3 years. And so if you don't have the automatic renewal, it allows you the opportunity to reevaluate whether or not the partnership is working and stay within that timeline of a 3-year window, even though you can in the contract with a 30-day notice. I would object of the automatic renewal, but if the majority of council is in support of that, then this will go in that direction. My next question is regarding fees. Has there been a fee schedule developed to determine what the cost would be for the lateral inspection?
They will charge us $35 and we're looking at charging $40.
Fairly simple.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. People saw the situation of Officer Shell. I don't know if there's any discussion on the matter that really needs to take place. Yeah, but I leave it to the floor. Other than, there's other issues that come up with this in terms of personnel that aren't directly to the question of the resolution.
The resolution we'd like to do to memorialize the fact of the dates for pension purposes. But you all know Officer Shell contributed in a very short amount of time a lot of things. In fact, the first week I was in the borough, Good Morning America featured an activity that he participated in one of our neighborhoods where fathers were doing athletic activities during the pandemic with kids. It was a great piece.
And, there may be some other discussions under public safety in particular that I think have been talked about with regard to the manpower. So this isn't the appropriate place, so we'll leave that for committee discussion. But I think there are some other options with regard to kind of where that is. Another point, not necessarily directly related to him, but just kind of to put things on timeline. This afternoon, received the updated kind of version from the police. Meeting with government management and contract this week. Hope to have it in front of Gretchen by Friday, and we'll finally get this thing off our plate so we can all sleep at night and not have one less thing to worry about. Just to put that on the table. And again, the last thing, just coming from the not on the agenda, just throwing things out there. There is a reality of reopening talks with Wilkins. That is something that we are going to do under management government. We'll bring back to you all kind of what the status is. I would not expect a lot of substantial changes in terms of what the agreement looked like from where we were before. I think more appropriately is that everybody's come to the same need now that we may not have been before, which is helpful. So, you guys have seen, most of you have seen kind of what that agreement looked like before. Couple maybe minor tweaks, what the commission makeup is for oversight, use that kind of thing. But outside of that, I don't expect there to be a whole lot more changes in a way to kind of move forward. And that will really help us manage some of the challenges that we have both in manpower, in kind of oversight, in training, and kind of much more positive direction. So I will leave that there, and more to come. And as we have it, we will report it out. That then gives us the resolution on CDBG. So what are we talking here?
The county requested that each local government state their desire to either be included or opt out of the federal community development block grant program and the home program. And they do ask that we all do it by resolution. So they gave us a generic resolution, which would like you to, I assume, to decide to opt in for another round or for a period of time. I think, for 24, 25, or 26.
It takes a special kind of municipality that doesn't want to opt in on that.
Opt in for free money?
Well, there was a time that Churchill was one of those special kind of municipalities, just to be clear about that. Absolutely, because as we know, what happens when you take federal monies, you have federal obligations that come with it. Most of them, by the way, as someone who lives this in his daily life, are positive things that make for better communities. But every so often, every community that feels like, hey, I don't want the government telling me what I should do, like be fair, those kind of things. So, having said that, if there's a reason not for us to not opt in, I'm all ears, but I'm unaware of one. All right, Finance Committee, we don't have Val here. I don't know if there's any other reporting to give out other than see if anybody had any questions, anything.
No, I just would like to say that the Local Government Academy financial health assessment was very helpful. I thought that was a great partnership, and it really shed light and gave it a more global type view of the entire thing. So it was fantastic. I'm glad we partnered with them.
I will just say I find LGA just generally to be both super insightful and terrifying.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Good assessment.
Anything else out of finance?
So you have on the agenda, the municipal, the police vehicle's already been sold and it has been, it's gone. The public works vehicle, we're asking for your permission to sell so we can put it online as well. Nothing more to that.
I see no issue. Anybody have a concern or issue?
Right, when we put it on municipal bid, do we set the starting asking price?
So we won't, we'll have a minimum, it'll probably be published,
Okay.
but, so we won't let it go for a small amount, but I'm assuming the way that vehicle is, there'll be a lot of interest in it, given people wanting a kind of a meter upper to plow commercial parking lots with. That spreader, some people will be looking for that. Used to do that as a business with their dad. So I think we'll see some interest in it. We might see a community day. We'll see. We're thinking of putting some balloons on it and having it.
Maybe we should.
Realistic price. And with Ralph being the salesperson.
I assume as with any bid, there's a reserve process, as you said, to answer the question, and that generally, we have a minimum, and that's kind of where you said.
And my last comment was not insinuating that Ralph's like a used car salesman. I was thinking-
No, of course.
It's the best used car salesman around. Let me say that right now. So,
Hey, just to make a public comment about the police vehicle, I gotta make mention to the chief who really took his time to get that vehicle prepared for
Yeah.
sale. He waxed it, he cleaned it the best he could. I saw it sitting out a lot, it was a new car. So
You
thanks to
did a
the
great
chief.
job detailing it.
He really detailed that well.
And I'm pleased with that price. I think that's a pretty good price.
Yeah, that's like some 300.
The buyer was from New Jersey. They came all the way over to take possession of it.
I think it's worth noting too, that the chief does that on his own accord and on his own
Right,
time. He
exactly.
volunteers to do that because he takes pride in keeping our equipment,
Right.
well maintained and making sure that we're getting the best price for it.
Yeah.
great point.
Good point.
All right. Moving forward, I don't see anything under public safety. We don't have Diana here, so I don't know if there's any other comments to be made. Mayor, I don't know if you have anything to add in that
Meeting
space.
tomorrow.
What's that?
Meeting tomorrow.
There you go, thank you. Infrastructure, anything you want to point out outside of what's there?
No, I think, we had the bids come in for the installing the speed signs on Greensburg Pike and Beulah. So they were, right where we talked about, just over the threshold. So they came in well. If there's any questions on that, feel free to follow up separately, but we'll be looking to award that work. Alex, I'm a little behind on the overhead banners. Can you give a quick summary on that?
The rec board requested install or put up a temporary basis an overhead banner along Greensburg Pike for the community day that's scheduled for August 12th. Unfortunately, we weren't in a position to do that. Talking with Gavin, it appeared that the borough had not in the past done the appropriate work as far as PennDOT's concerned to be able to legally do that. As the entity who authorizes oversized loads and height requirements, they need to control all roads, even if it's not their road, which Greensburg Pike is a county road. So we're going to pass the resolution that in the future, whether it's the rec board or another entity, if they want to seek the ability to do an overhead banner, they'll at least be able to get the starting gate. Now, at that time, all that does is let PennDOT know you want to do that.
Right.
They handle each one specifically because they want to know, they want to have the final approval on the individual request. They reserve that right to do that, including when you're going to be putting up and tearing it or pulling it down and assuming liability and all those good things. But this will help us next year. We're going in, we have a community day, we'll be able to maybe do a banner.
No, we're definitely gonna pursue it.
So lesson learned, my only question that I have is understanding that, and then the first question of how you get out the gate. What's the actual general timeline that it takes in terms of through the state to?
They're very quick. But we're asking in our resolution, in our application procedure, I think I have it a month before they want it to go up. That will give us enough time to approve internally the application, get it to PennDOT and get the letter from PennDOT saying that's good. We certainly don't want any applicant to wait and give us a week to go and turn all that around and do that. My big concern right now is you have to think this through, right? You have to have a good location and a utility company who's interested in letting their poles have this attached to it. And of course, PennDOT's going to want to know that specific segment of whatever road you're looking at. This won't, like, for example, allow us to put them up anywhere at any time.
Right.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
For example.
This is just saying we're not prohibited.
Correct. It
Which-
gets us in the direction. As Gavin has noted, as we've gone back and forth, there's a lot in the publication about what they require before they'll approve it.
And this is just specifically for the one location, right?
It's for the.
Well,
Yeah.
we have to contemplate where else it could be. And again, that's like, if you remember when Wilkins Township did one along Brown Beulah by the grocery store. Just notice how many utility poles don't line up. There's not a lot that
Right.
do in a good spot. And don't have utilities going across. Because if that's happening, you really don't have space to put the banner.
Mhm.
So there's gonna be a little bit more investigation about where these might go. But what would happen in that final application is that will require those specific spots. So this kind of gets us to that point. But if, for example, Hay School, the rec board, Woodland Hills High School, the churches, for example, McCready, for example, if they wanted to do one up there, we'd have to have all that down, what that specific spot is, and it might not be feasible.
Right.
Understood. Anything else coming out of it before we move on to a great segue directly into communications, but I'll ask first, plans and everything else.
Oh, I just would announce, we're going to be having an open house discussion on the sewer lateral ordinance, inspection ordinance on Tuesday, August 22nd, from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Yeagle room. So the information, if anyone has, curiosity about what that, is, if they're looking at possibly moving out of Churchill or having, other friends or family move into Churchill, we'll also be inviting, local realtors and closing companies, just so that they understand what, how we're implementing the ordinance, the timeline, and what's going to be expected while they're doing closings.
Well, education, reminds me of the cycling days. It's a fun education moment to get people out and learn it, poke around the, see what's happening. So excellent. It looks like newsletter deadline September 1st. Anything else on newsletter or on community day? I heard there's something happening around that.
Yeah, this Saturday. In fact, visual,
You've probably seen them around, so tell your friends, neighbors, 11 to 4 on the grounds of Pace School. We've got food trucks, live music all throughout, games galore, auction items. Just pray the weather's okay, but we're all set.
I would just point out, I think you missed an opportunity by not having a dunk tank.
I know.
We looked
People would
into a
pay big
dunk,
money
no,
to dunk me. I think you
We
just set the
looked-
bid.
we looked hard into a dunk tank, but because of where we are and it's the water issue. But if we ever move somewhere else, that's first on my
So-
I
list,
think you
Jay.
can auction off.
So could we do
for
a
companies to
pie
make
the
money.
council president booth?
You know
That
what?
could come together pretty quick. A couple cans of whipped cream. I'm
Good,
just saying.
it doesn't require two good knees.
Right.
Also true.
Man, I actually thought about that.
You know, that,
Right.
just
Pie in the face.
There is nothing I.
still
would-
6 days left.
Just to be clear, I'd be more, only thing I will not do, or just to be clear, is
Is,
wear a top and shirt.
we're what?
Wear a top and pop
Oh.
shirt. Anything else?
Oh, I bought you one.
You can hit me in the face with a pie. I have no problem with it at all.
No,
Uh,
but I hope everybody comes out. I think it's gonna be a
It'd be
lot
great.
of
It'd be
fun.
a great event. Thank you for
Yep.
helping
Yeah.
us orchestrate
The
that.
rec board
appreciate
has
you
worked very, very, very hard.
Is there an ice cream truck again?
No, the ice cream truck canceled, but
Oh.
I do have my barbecue truck who also does Italian ice.
Okay,
So,
Italian
It's a
ice sells
good-
properly.
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
I'm good.
fantastic.
yeah,
I prefer
our
that
ice,
over-
yeah, but we're good. We have good, plenty of food, 5 trucks and
Wonderful.
all good, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Looking
So
forward to it.
Pittsburgh Barbecue is doing double duty with their sausage and their barbecue and also the Italian ice. I know, because I was like, oh my God, you have to have something.
Wonderful, yeah.
Right, community,
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta have some.
Something cold,
Gotta have something cold.
right.
That'll
But
work.
we're good. Hope everybody comes out.
See you then. Be there.
Mhm.
Anything on climate action that we need to discuss?
Just, we're working on a 5-year climate action plan. We're working with Connect and the Penn State Sustainability Institute, who is going to provide us with an intern. And she's going to work the whole school year, and which is great because it's a lot of work. And there are many reasons to have a climate action plan. One being that once you have that in place, you have a much better chance of getting grants
Uh-huh.
when you show what you've done so far and what your goals are, that type of thing. So I think that's a great thing that we were able to come together with that. We had a meeting with Ken Balke and the tree committee, and that was very interesting.
Yeah.
He's so knowledgeable. Ken's just the greatest. And he is planning in the fall to have an open workshop with our residents to make them more informed on trees. That's, before you think you've got a dead tree and you're going to spend all that money to cut it down, there are many ways you can save some of these trees. Not all trees can be saved,
Right.
but a good majority can if you are a little more knowledgeable. And so that's something he is going to let us know, probably, what did he say, soon?
Yeah, after community days, he's working on.
Right. We also have environmentally friendly reusable bags that we will have at Community Day that we will be passing out to people who want them.
Cool.
So
Go with Allegheny County's ban on
That's right.
plastic.
that was
Okay.
Diane Law's suggestion, and it was a good one to have our logo on it. So,
Very, very.
Yeah.
nice.
And is the tree committee having another table at the
yes, the
community
tree
day?
committee will be there. Yep, absolutely. Right.
Fantastic.
So amongst many others. Right.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Love them all.
Yes.
All right, school district, anything up in the district?
So the first day of school is Wednesday, August 23rd. Many of you may have been aware that the district approved the resolution to extend the Propel Charter for another 5 years, and that was effective July 1 of 2023. They also have a new program that they will be starting at the beginning of the school year that will recruit outgoing students to attend the Penn State Greater Allegheny campus. They'll be receiving a reduced credit tuition rate for students who are pursuing careers in education. And then they will also be reconnected with the school district through a pipeline to get a teaching position at the school.
Oh, wow.
That's
That's
awesome.
a way to address diversity issues as well as to promote education among the students.
It's fantastic.
And that's pretty much it. I do plan to engage PACE School at the beginning of the school year. My children will be starting school. The school will be getting started. So I'm not really sure if I'll have an update for September, the September meeting, but I plan to have an update for October.
Yeah, it's great.
So one quick question. I know that we have talked before about getting the data sets on performance by borough.
So the school board has implemented a new program that will be taking effect this coming school year that will break out school data based on municipality. There was no July meeting because they were on hiatus. The upcoming school board meeting is tomorrow, or actually Wednesday, excuse me, so August 9th. I plan to attend that and I'll follow up with the president to determine where they're at with the data.
Do you know, just from out 30, in your previous conversation, were they saying that they didn't have it, or like unable to get it? You know what I mean? Like that they
So
didn't
in
have
my
the sense
previous
of it.
conversation, they basically said that they do not have it where it's flush as far as knowing what students from what municipality are registered in the school district. They probably can get that because they have everybody's address, but as far as having something accessible immediately, they don't have that yet. But they are going to be implementing a technology program that will break it out based on municipality. So we should be able to get that data at some point.
Cool, and they can pull that retroactively, I'm assuming. Because the one thing I don't want to see us in the situation of is where the district says, because I've danced with this district, where they say, okay, we put in this new system, so it's active now, which means that the 2023-24 school year, we'll be able to provide you that data. Now, we can't provide you the 2023-24 school year until 24-25 because the school year has to complete, so that by the time we get the data, right, it's 3 years away. So if we can find out from them, right, the reality of, because we've only been asking for it, probably on 12 years now. And if we can find out from them, what their capacity is to provide it and what their timeline is to deliver it, that would be fabulous. And I don't care if they tell us, we don't care what you think, we're not giving it to you, or, it's going to take us another year. I would just like to get from the new board kind of what their honest position is on breaking down the data by municipality.
Okay, so I would also like to add, what is your objective? Like, once you receive the data, what is it that you're looking to do with that?
So let me be, and for everybody, extremely clear on this, right? The primary objective is to make sure that the taxpayers of Churchill are getting the results that they deserve, right? That our kids are getting the education they deserve and the outcome they deserve. The secondary, for me personally, and I'll say this at a personal level, right, is that I work in the world of civil rights, and I want to make sure that the children of the other communities are getting the education they deserve, and that we're not seeing the massive disparities as a result of, right, the unfortunate repetition of what we saw prior to the Hootsuite. So one of the questions that really comes up is, does the district benefit people the way that it's supposed to, the way that it was designed to, particularly, and I used to talk with the former president over in Braddock, who we used to work together with me and Tina all the time, right? Are people getting the benefit they're supposed to? Not just Churchill, right? Is Braddock, is Rankin, is Swissville, is Wilkins, right? When we all got together as a consortium and put out the letter of no confidence to the school district, that didn't come from one of us, it came from all of us. And it's because there's a joint concern, right? What is happening in each person's municipality who's paying the money, whether it's Braddock or Churchill or Wilkins, and the inability to provide that data, right? And kind of just gloss it over. It's just kind of, well, here's what it all looks like. Doesn't allow for people to go back to their own constituents and say, listen, we either things are working great or we have an issue. And we've talked together as a group of municipalities before about this. We've talked to the school district about it. So we have a new board and then the potential of some new members. So I'm hopeful that they would understand that.
Well, we can also take charge of doing some relay work by reaching out to our residents to see what families have students that attend Woodland Hills if we're not able to get the data as expeditiously as you'd like. Being that you've been requesting it for 12 years, that's something that we could probably do and send out in like a survey to get feedback from our families. On top of that, I will say at the last school board meeting that we had in June, the early PSSA results showed that there was a 24% increase in reading proficiency as well as the math proficiency. And so while the school district has major leaps and bounds to get all students to a level where they are proficient in both math, language arts, science, they are making progress.
To be clear, I don't think it's a question. I don't want you to think that the purpose is to smack the school district around. The best thing that can happen for Churchill is that Woodland Hills School District is successful.
Of course, no, I'm not saying that that's what you were alluding to. I'm just giving you some additional context. So you understand what's happening with the school district, because you did make a point about, wanting to ensure that those who live in Churchill are getting the benefit of the school district. And so I was providing some additional context about performance so that those who are here can understand the school district is making some progress in the right direction, but we will get the information as far as that is
I think
concerned.
that's super helpful. And I think, quite frankly, the improvements only show more the need to know by borough, right? Because I think there's a lot to be said especially knowing that there's a small number of Churchill kids who are there.
Sure.
So if we see major improvements and they're coming from other boroughs, that's actually fantastic news. There was a conversation I had a couple of years ago with Jake Wheatley about the school district, and this woman walked by who was from Forest Hills, right? And she was like, the school district's terrible. I don't understand what's going on. And I said to her, I said, I don't care if you don't care about kids, which is unfortunate if you don't, right? But you should care, right, about what's happening in the school district, because if they get a 15-20% improvement in their performance, even if you care nothing about children, right, your property value is going up.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So I mean, even if you happen to be that kind of person, which I am not, and so to that point, if we're seeing improvements, boroughs, it would be great for a borough that's having more challenges to be able to say, and look at our kids had a 24% increase in their performance in the school district. This is a great place to live. So I agree with you, and I appreciate whatever you can bring back. That'd be fantastic. Okay. Moving on, anything on, nothing on zoning to speak of on my end, and my partners are out the room. I'm gonna try and move us a little forward, a little quicker at this point. Met on accessible play space, getting some more information from them. The bottom line though is until we have an ownership and understand clearly what's going on with ownership, while we have money sitting in a pot for us, it's difficult to really spend that money outside of conceptually. And so there's been some reach out again to the potential owners, but until we see that, it's going to be a lot of kind of this talk versus a lot more specificity, unfortunately.
When you say potential owners of what?
Of the Westinghouse.
Okay. So we're not looking to do the accessible play space at the below pens.
That would be a substantial amount of more work than being, right now it's a placeholder. And if it comes down to that, that would be what we would have to do, but that would be substantially more work to do clearing in the location and trying to get access. It's a much more difficult place. There was a conversation with ALT that would make more sense, Allegheny Land Trust, than it would Bullocks Pen, and that was a land swap, so that still wouldn't be Bullocks Pen, right? But Bullocks Pen in and of itself is just a very difficult place for that to actually occur. And then there's a feasibility on Schaefer, right? And Schaefer just isn't the most feasible in terms of locations and spaces. So I think ideally, and we deal with, trying to get the ideal first. If we can't do that, it's a different story. But ideally, the property over at the former Westinghouse is the best suited for this, and would allow for some of the best outcomes. That was a very interesting revenue number that was posted out on that property. That was Cranberry, in terms of just how it generates revenue and that kind of thing. It was 4 baseball fields is what they did up there, along with the play space. And the UPMC was at 2.6.
Yeah, as far as sponsored naming rights,
Yeah.
sponsorship.
So 2.6 million. Yeah, that's it. So it makes my eyes twitch a little bit when I said those kind of numbers. So that's where we are there. Mayor, anything on, says Mayor for your consideration. So consideration is.
Believe it or not, I don't really have anything other than,
Wait a second.
What?
I've been working a lot with the rec board on this, community day.
Yes,
And they have put a tremendous amount of work into this. Like I said, rain or shine, and that's what's gonna happen this Saturday. We're just hoping everybody comes out. If you haven't gotten an email and a savvy citizen or a sign on in your yard, I don't know what else we could do to get you invited, but we're looking forward to that.
I wake up with signs on my yard.
I didn't even ask.
You don't have to. Yeah, that's exactly how that operates. What do we got? We've got a zoning hearing board meeting on the 28th. That gives me my own bit of tremors. I'll be in Colorado during that time. Conversation for another day. Nightmare. I've got nothing else. People, floor is yours. Anyone? Looking at you first.
Sure. We had students work with us this summer, and Ashley Brown did an amazing job. These were recent graduates of Woodland Hills High School, and I think one of them was going into their senior year, the other maybe two of them. And Ralph and Ashley particularly helped keep the students busy, both with the outside work group and inside the building. For those of you who know how to get the Eco 360, and I apologize that it maybe isn't the easiest to get to. The students help us upload hundreds of documents, meeting minutes, resolutions, ordinances, which will enrich the search that you might be on to for whatever particular subject in the bill you're looking at. It was tremendous, but Ashley's attention to detail, care of the students, and concern for their well-being made them feel very welcome and valued. And I just can't say enough about all that she did. And that's a real big interruption in her day.
Yeah.
That she was taking each and every day to make sure these students succeeded and felt valued in the community. It was really sweet as they were leaving us last week, how they wanted to spend time in saying goodbye and saying thank you. But that's all Ashley Brown, and her effort was just tremendous. Very thankful.
Duly noted and can't be understated. Having went through the process of digitizing one of my companies, like about 10 years worth of files, right? Bringing in volunteers to do it. You know, keeping kids happy and making them feel valued in what is repetitive, kind of mundane, difficult work. And that's why, quite frankly, that's why we bring people in, right? But appreciating them and letting them know that there's value to what they're doing, that it's impactful, is a skill.
We have a special employee in Ashley.
Yeah, it's a skill. It's not just, everybody doesn't have that ability to make people feel that way. So that's fantastic news.
Are their terms up?
Yep. Yeah, the 8 weeks went fast.
Wow. Well, I have to mention, if you notice coming in the back door, one of the things that one of this young Jason was really interested in landscaping. So one of the things I thought was to redo these areas out here, because the ivy was dead, bushes are old. So he was really excited to jump in on that because he wants to do this professionally. They trod all that ivy, and if you've ever torn out those big grasses, they're not easy. We got that all out of there. So we have plans on, getting the black gold up here, getting it mixed in, and turning this into a perennial garden, a pollinating garden.
Oh, perfect.
So over here, beneath the window here, so that he did a tremendous job out there.
That's awesome.
So
Are there any opportunities to have an intern in the fall, or is it just this
There
summer?
are opportunities we can use help all the time. There's
Yeah.
things we can help people to do.
So are we looking into that,
So the
or?
main focus is getting your intern going on to keep
Right,
the
on the
local climate
Climate
action.
action.
Yes.
Yeah, right. But,
If there's other opportunities, we'll welcome them.
Okay. I guess is that up to, you're the one that found these interns, right?
Those came through OVR, the Pennsylvania Labor and Industry OVR
Okay.
program, Office of Vocational Rehabilitation.
Mhm.
So these were people looking for work opportunities, may not as easy naturally fit into the workplace.
Mhm.
And again, it was a great opportunity, I think, for us to share with them and get some experience for them to move on and find other work opportunities.
I'm just wondering if there's any seniors who maybe once or twice a week want to,
We've discussed some of that. That would have to be, I think that we'd have to think about where they could fit in and
Right.
what we'd have them do. But I know you've talked about that a great deal.
Mhm.
That's a good resource for us, you know, to utilize that, because everybody benefits. They
Yeah, it's a
gain,
win-win.
they gain with the experience,
Mhm.
we gain with the help, so.
Right.
It is excellent. The only other thing I have, and I assume that the chief is aware that they swore in the new magistrate today. So Lisa Caulfield is not the magistrate, so we have a new one. The mayor, myself, and Matt were over there, sworn, done deal. So road is on, we've got somebody permanent. You know, I don't know if the chief plans on speaking with her the way that, you know, you did with Tom or previously to kind of schedule, you know, on the guys on their fourth time. Let me know, because I think one of the things we want to do, I think when Tom was magistrate, sometimes it get a little tricky,
Yeah.
right? They get a little frustrated with how court time is scheduled out. So it makes sense to me that we want to get ahead of that.
Yeah.
Right, try and have the conversation, set it up so it works, make sure that it's there.
And it's gonna be a little bit more difficult now because Officer Shell's leaving.
Yep.
So we're down manpower and Chief is pulling his hair out over there.
Right, and I think
How am I
that's,
gonna do all this?
that's part of where I think having the open conversation with her will be helpful. Because I think it will, you know, she needs to understand this
Sure,
is the
sure.
circumstance here, this is what's going on, it's not simply us saying, you know, we're trying to kind of streamline our court time and put our people, you know, that she can understand it, so.
I think we can make that work.
So, perfect, well, let me know. Anything else from folks? All right, just trying to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, is there a second on that floor?
Second,
All right, game set, match, thank you all very much.
thank you.
Thank
Thank you.